Hello guys and welcome to the penultimate race of this F1 2015 season. It's part 18 here from Brazil as the Max Verstappen Career Mode Challenge heads towards a close, and we're in a very good position to possibly wrap up the World Championship here today with one race to spare. Basically we need to outscore Hamilton by 5 points in this race, so a win would make it an unassailable lead going into Abu Dhabi. So that's the goal if possible, otherwise it's going to be damage limitation to make sure we give ourselves the best opportunity at the final round. So on to qualifying. We're just on our lap here. You can see that turn 4 was proven to be pretty difficult in terms of getting the power run. It's very easy to lose the back end out of there, but coming to the end of our lap with a cheeky bit of slipstream from our teammate ahead, we get down to a low 1 minute 12, just shy of breaking into the 1 minute 11s there, but it is good enough for P1 at the time. And at the end of the session, that was all we needed to get onto pole position for this race. Absolutely crucial pole position at this stage of the season. It puts us in prime position for a good result. So Kimi Räikkönen taking second place there on a 12.5. Hamilton, our championship rival, down in P3, will be starting directly behind us, and Rosberg down in 4th as well. So not a particularly strong showing from the Mercedes there, unless it was just Räikkönen pulling out an absolutely worldie. But it's good news for us as we're going to be heading into the race. Like I say, 5 points is all we need, but of course we're going to be looking for a win if possible. So even if we get second, say Hamilton will have to finish a little bit down the field there. Well, say a little bit down the field, it would be 4th, wouldn't that be a 6 point difference? So that would do it if possible. We'll have to see how the opening lap goes, see if Räikkönen's able to do anything to stay with us. However, the strategy for this race is looking like a 3-stop here, so he's looking at 2 options and a prime. So tyre wear looking quite high. Thankfully we've saved some sets of tyres in qualifying after only doing that one run, so we should be good on tyres, no issues there. Hopefully the rain won't come into play. It doesn't look like there's anything in the skies here for this race, which is unusual for Brazil. However, 5 red lights coming on now. Lights out and away we go, and it's not a particularly good start. Hamilton behind, getting an absolutely flying start. Räikkönen's bogged down. Hamilton looking to come around the outside. However, we're not going to let that happen at all. We're going to shut him out there, and we retain first place. But Hamilton up into P2, Rosberg P3, Räikkönen down to P4, so he got an absolutely awful start. As the two Mercedes now side by side, we're looking to give Rosberg the slipstream to try and keep him ahead of Hamilton. So we've seen before that Mercedes don't really seem to be playing by the team tactics in terms of getting Hamilton the most points throughout the season. It is indeed Rosberg slotting ahead of Hamilton at this early stage of the race, maybe to see if he can put some pressure on us to make us get into a mistake or something like that. However, coming up to the end of lap 1, we've got Rosberg in hot pursuit, and then Hamilton a little bit further behind. And there's a massive gap to P4 and behind, as Rosberg in the slipstream getting closer and closer. He's looking up the inside. And is it going to be enough? No, it's not. We're very late on the brakes. We've just managed to hold that. And on the mini-map, we've actually got cars in the pit lane, so I don't know what that's about. Don't know whether that's damage or something strange there, but either way, that's giving us a huge gap here. Rosberg in the slipstream once more, going up the inside. We're trying to go defensive, but it's a bit too late. Maybe looking to get the switch back on him, but no, Rosberg parks it on the apex. Not bad drive from us out of the exit. We've got right into the slipstream here, coming up the hill into turn 6, I believe, and we're going to look to go back up the inside of Rosberg and regain first place, and we do indeed pull that off. So like I said, top 3, us and the 2 Mercedes, miles clear of everyone else, so it's unlikely Hamilton's going to finish any lower down than 3rd. So to get this championship, as we lose the back end there quite a lot, to get this championship we need to win this race, which is what the goal's going to be. So cutting to the end of lap 2 and the start of lap 3, it's Rosberg once again in hot pursuit, as we get put off by an achievement popping up on the screen there. We've got a bad line through turns 1 and 2, and Rosberg now with the use of DRS. Hamilton also with the use of DRS could put us under pressure here, and here we go. Here comes Rosberg up the inside. Hamilton not looking too much into a move here. Rosberg once again just blocking us off on the apex. A good sort of block pass there, preventing the switchback, and he is now off into P1, and we are not close enough to make a move back on him at this stage of the lap. So it's going to be trying to keep with Rosberg as best we can, but as you see, just cutting to sort of the end of the next lap, Rosberg's got away, and Hamilton actually coming into the pit lane for a very early stop indeed at the end of lap 4. So I have no idea what's going on there. I don't know whether he's got excessive tyre wear or they're going for some sort of alternate strategy, but I don't know why they would need to do that, considering he was right with the leading 2. But yeah, that's happened. Hamilton's gone in for the early stop on lap 4. We've made it all the way to the end of lap 8, and Rosberg even going further than that. So that will suggest maybe Hamilton looking at surely not a 4 stop, or maybe 2 sets of primes. I don't know what's going on there. However, we're in for our first stop of the day. It's another set of options going on. 2.5 seconds, it's a decent stop, and we're going to come out in P3 behind Valtteri Bottas, I do believe. Got a few cars coming down through the first couple of corners now. The lead car, which is our teammate, so that's going to be a nice buffer to have on these cold tyres as we look to try and get them up to temperature. You can just see the understeer in the pit lane, and we just about managed to come out ahead of that group, which is absolutely crucial. As you can see, Hamilton, despite with that early pit stop, hasn't been able to make any inroads to getting past us. So even with fresher tyres, it looks like he is caught up, possibly behind these 3 cars. So that's good news for us. Over the course of the next lap, you see we pulled away quite a lot. Massa in the pit lane, Rosberg also pitting in as well. So as we've got the tyres now up to temperature, Rosberg making his way through the inside of turn 3 on the pit exit. So it looks like he's got enough of an advantage to keep ahead and in first place at this stage of the race, which is crucial for him. Obviously cold tyres is what he's going to have, but that looks like too big of a gap for us to be able to close that up on our warmer tyres. So it's going to be interesting to see what the tyre wear's like. So cutting to the end of that stint, because absolutely nothing happened at all. We made it to the end of lap 16, now the start of lap 17, another 2.5 second stop. So that's good news for us, another set of options. Rosberg in the pits, and just, it's 2 laps later actually. We're now on lap 19, so we done it at the start of lap 17. This is now the start of lap 19, and it looks like we have indeed managed to get the undercut on Nico Rosberg. So I don't know what sort of strategy error it was on Mercedes' part there, but they've gifted us the lead, and we are now technically in a championship winning position with Rosberg still ahead of Hamilton on track. And of course that doesn't matter, even if that switched around we would still be world champion. Hamilton needs to prevent us, or Rosberg needs to prevent us from winning this race. And on lap 23 now, you see Rosberg's obviously had the call from Mercedes to say you need to get that place back. We cannot have Max Verstappen winning this race, otherwise that is Hamilton's chances of the championship over. So he's now looking around the outside. We've got the inside, however Rosberg, with that almighty powerful Mercedes engine and the use of DRS down this first of the DRS straights on the run into turn 4, is going to be looking surely to make a move. So here we go, we've gone defensive. There really isn't a lot we can do to try and stop that Mercedes engine other than try and get him on the brakes. So we've managed to force him wide, we've got the racing line, and he's had to back out of that one, and we retain first place just about, but Mercedes and Rosberg really piling on the pressure. See Hamilton not really in this fight for the lead, as on the next lap, lap 24, we're coming in for our final pit stop here for a set of prime tyres, I do believe. So Rosberg goes on for another lap. Hamilton still nowhere near. That car going past was actually a back marker, so Hamilton's completely out of this. Well, at this stage, it looks like he's completely out of the hunt for the win, which is what he really needs to, try and take the championship on to the next round and stand a good chance himself. However, just a couple of laps later, again Rosberg going for an extra couple of laps. He's now in the pit lane, and as he goes around the outside of turn 2, inside of turn 3, we're once again going to get the move completed, and we're going to move back up into P1, are we? Yes, we are. There we go. So a lot closer this time round than it was before, but we are once again into a championship winning position. So now it's just a battle against the tyres and Rosberg. It doesn't look like anyone else is going to be having a determining factor, although Hamilton not too far behind at this stage. As we now sit to lap 28, we've got Vettel coming out the pit lane, P17, and also on the timing on the top left, you would have just seen Hamilton's actually in the pits and been passed by Valtteri Bottas, so that's even worse news for him there, that he's not even on the podium at this stage. However, a couple of laps later, it looks like, I don't know whether Bottas is on an alternate strategy or what, or Hamilton's on options, but he's got back into P3 as we're now coming through the middle sector, and we've got an absolute train of cars going on here. I have no idea what's going on. We've got yellow flags, we've got Massa completely off the track, we've got the cars snaking around ahead of us, yellow flags we can't overtake. However, it looks like we're now going to be up to racing speed again. We are indeed. Green flag is there. So with the lap traffic, Rosberg right behind us, we make our way around the outside. I think that was Button, wasn't it, who's now holding up Rosberg, which is good news for us. We've now got our teammate ahead who could play a bit of a role here as we nearly lose the back end there. Obviously going slowly through that middle sector really played havoc to the tyre wear. Sorry, not the tyre wear, the tyre temperature. But we just managed to keep it facing the right direction. Rosberg again hounding us to try and make a move. However, with these lap cars, it's just absolutely chaos trying to defend from Rosberg, trying to navigate your way through the AI as to whether they're going to move off the racing line, stay on the racing line, slow down and brake check you or what. It's hard to know exactly what you're going to have to do. I see Alonso just parking it on the apex on the inside. We're going a long way round, but it's worked out as he's now blocking Rosberg, which is good news for us. as we've got just a handful of laps to go. The engineer telling us we need to pit. That is absolute rubbish. Going to absolutely mute the engineer if he's not careful. But Rosberg is now dispatched of Alonso and is once again going to be picking up the slipstream from us. And Grosjean pits ahead of us. We get DRS. That's worked out nicely for us as we get a clear run into the next few corners. But Rosberg again still within DRS range. So as it was for the last few laps, as we've now got 2 laps to go, Rosberg really coming at us hard now as we go down into turn 1. We've got Stevens and Ricciardo up ahead. We've got Ricciardo lapping Stevens, and we're lapping Stevens for a second time and looking to lap Ricciardo for a first time. So there's just cars all over the place and out of position, people doing weird strategies, but it all comes down to whether we can keep track position ahead of Nico Rosberg for these next 2 laps. So he's dispatched of Will Stevens as well on lap 35. Looks like this should be the last lapped car that we're going to have to possibly lap in this race. And as we can see here, coming down into turn 1 to start the final lap, we get ahead of Ricciardo. Rosberg dropped back quite a lot there for some reason. 8/10 is the gap now, so we're going to have a nice clear run into turn 4 without any pressure, which is nice. However, the rear tyres really struggling at this stage. Obviously, they're 2 laps older than the Mercedes, and I do believe the Mercedes has better tyre wear than us anyway. But Rosberg is now dispatched of Ricciardo, and now for the World Championship, we need to hold on to this position for the remainder of the lap and keep that Mercedes monster behind us. And if we can do that, that will be the 2015 World Championship in our pocket with 1 race to go. As you can see, the car just sliding about, all 4 tyres completely gone at this stage. The prime tyres really not liking this 12-lap stint. You can see just about mentioned to get on the power. It's all about getting a good exit. When the tyres are like this, you just need a good exit to make sure you prevent the car from behind being able to match your exit and then obviously pull up alongside with the slipstreams. We run very dangerously wide there. Just the front tyres got no grip through these left-handers, and as we come out the final corner, which is left-hand, we haven't got the best run. Doing what we can with the fuel mixture to try and make sure we make it to the end, but obviously get that in first place. Rosberg with the slipstream now. It's a drag race to the line for the World Championship, basically. Can we keep first place? We can indeed. And it's first place for Max Verstappen here in Brazil. And it's first place for Max Verstappen in the Drivers' World Championship for the 2015 season. Max Verstappen, you are the youngest world champion that Formula 1 has ever seen. So there he is, off doing his donuts in the runoff area. Drivers' World Champion belongs to Max Verstappen. Unbelievable scenes here. He's a happy chap. Rosberg did what he could, but he could not overcome the mighty Toro Rosso today. And that has prevented his teammate Lewis Hamilton, who did make it onto the podium. Very gracious in defeat there for Lewis Hamilton. But it will be second place for him in the championship, because that man there, Max Verstappen, is, like I say, the 2015 Formula 1 World Champion for this season. So it was an entertaining race, to say the least. The middle part, obviously, just a bit of strategy. I don't know what strategy Lewis Hamilton was on. We can see that he's actually done a 4-stop. We've got some cars, Vettel, they're doing a 5-stop, so I've got no idea what was going on there. So only the top 5 weren't lapped. That's the pure pace that we had there. But as you can see, Hamilton just absolutely nowhere on that 4-stop. He was not in with a shout of winning that race. It was between us and Rosberg, and we emerged victorious. And like I said, just by a 10th, that gives us the Formula 1 World Championship. So we'll move on to the points table in just a second, and you'll see what that's done, as we only have the 1 race left. It's a 30-point gap, no double points this season, so only 25 points on offer. And as you can see there, we get the Clean Club achievement. We finally managed to complete a race without colliding with another car or something like that, so it only took us all season, but we got there in the end. 30 points is the difference. That's too much to overcome in the final race, so we win. So maybe in the last race we'll have a bit of fun, whether it's going to be starting from the back or 100% race or something like that. Let me know in the comments below what you want me to do in terms of what you'd like to see for that final race. Obviously, I just want to say thanks to all of you for sticking through and watching this career mode. It's been a blast. I'd say 1 more race to go. So until then, I leave you with the points table for the constructors. But that has been the Brazilian Grand Prix, where we've seen Max Verstappen crowned as Formula 1 World Champion for 2015.